We spent a significant amount of time in the spring and summer of this year in Bulgaria, but we did come back in between, although you wouldn't think so because I haven't shown you much of it on video. So here's a bit now. This is Arrow Park, just across the road from us in May, and also in our own gardens outside our own block of flats where there's laburnum and all sorts of other things that bloom at that time of year. I'd like to take you back even further, and this is Vale Park in Wallasey down by the River Mersey, and in February I was there filming the long shadows that you get at that time of year, and this was at a time when I'd noticed that people who take film and photos on their phone seem to get very bright and sometimes overexposed pictures. So I decided to see what my phone was like at doing this. As you can see from this, the phone and the camera were right alongside each other, and it was a winter's day, and yet the phone managed to bleach out the whole picture and make it look like summer. Let's take the view that neither of these are perfect. Here I've taken down the exposure levels on the footage from the phone to see if it looks more like winter than summer. And here I've increased the exposure a bit from my camera to see if I can make it look less dark. Compare the two alongside, I don't think either of them are right, but I have to say I prefer my camera. Fast forward now to September. This is a family party that took place a few weeks ago, and we had a look at their new kitchen, and this is the fridge freezer, and it's got Bixby. It's able to run a lot of the Android apps, and it's also able to see inside the fridge, to work out what you're short of, to create shopping lists, and to give you menus. Earlier this month I took a bus to Leasowe station to get a train, and I used the bus stop which heads towards places like New Brighton and Wallasey. This is the stop going the other way, and as you can see there's buses every few minutes, and they go to Liverpool and Birkenhead and places in South Wirral, and this time I'm heading into Birkenhead on the bus destined for Woodside. Woodside is the ferry terminal for the ferry across the Mersey. A couple of years back they chopped off part of the Grange Precinct shopping centre in Birkenhead, and it's been all behind hoardings for the last few years, so you couldn't tell what was going on. The number of shops closed down, including Wilko of course, which had quite a big shop here, and this was also once a Wetherspoons until about a year ago. Birkenhead Market used to be one of the best in the region, if not in the country. It was a fantastic market, and I started going there in the 80s, but now there's nothing much left of it, just a few little stalls around the edges of it. But as you head more into the core of Birkenhead Market, there's just nothing there anymore, and this is a great shame because I gather there's no plans for a new market hall for some years to come. Going back to the shores of the River Mersey, where we were before in Vale Park, if we walk towards Birkenhead and we pass the old Guinea Gap baths, which I was surprised to find have survived all these years. I've known a few people who've swum in these baths quite a long time ago. And this is right by Wallasey Town Hall, which also seems to not be doing very much these days, and it looks pretty dead there. The reason I spend so much time in Wallasey is because I have a house there which I used to live in myself until the early 90s, and then I started to rent it out. And these days I rent it by the room because it's the only way you can make any money with mortgage rates being so high. And we've been working very slowly over the last 12 months to refurbish and upgrade one of our rooms to ensuite. People can no longer afford to live in self-contained flats with all the facilities, so the best thing you can do is give them a room with as many facilities as you can cram into it. The room got finished during September, and we ran an advert online, and we now have a tenant. Over the next few months I'll try and get together all the video that I've been taking of the development of the room and show you how we put it all together. If you follow my videos regularly, you're probably aware that friends of mine are leaving the country, so are my mentors, people going to live in Bulgaria, Portugal. And my tenant at the house in Wallasey, who kept ferrets in the back garden, has gone back to France. She took them in a hire van and off she went. She had two hutches, a large one and a small one. She couldn't fit this large one in the van, so somebody else is having that, and they're going to start keeping ferrets in the near future. The difference is, apparently the young lady is going to keep them in the house. Here's some footage that I took last year of an old Crosville bus that's been restored, and according to the indicator is on its way to Chester. Well, Crosville was replaced by Stagecoach, and Stagecoach livery was changed in 2020 to look like this, but you'll notice a slightly different livery on the bus behind, and that's because it's used the Crosville colours, and they've done this as a tribute to the relationship they had which is based around the depot at Rock Ferry on the Wirral. And that's it. I'm going to bus out of here. I'll see you next time.